Now, earlier I spoke to the Israeli government spokesperson, Avi Hyman. I began by asking him what more we knew about what happened in Gaza in the early hours of this morning.
From what it looks like, it appears that there was an accident, that a convoy was tragically hit. I will say that that's subject to a full investigation by the IDF, who's going to do a full, professional, transparent investigation and come out with the findings. But it does appear at the moment that that was an awful accident, and it's such a shame that these people were hit. These are in many conflicts. These are the people that are the unsung heroes, the people that were just trying to get food to the people that needed it desperately, while we race to get food to the people that need it, and while Hamas tries to steal it. So that is what's going on the ground. Yeah.
OK, well, you used the word accident there, but it's pretty clear that some sort of Israeli munition or missile was fired into the roof of a clearly marked aid vehicle.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I meant by an accident. It does appear that way. I just don't want to preempt and say that that's definitely what happened, because in Israel, we do our utmost to look into these things, to go over the solid facts. We don't want to run to the media like Hamas and others do and say X happened when in fact it was something else entirely. The IDF does its absolute utmost to avoid civilian casualty. Our fight is with Hamas, not the people of Gaza, not civilians, definitely not aid workers. So this, if it was Israel, it was a clear mistake, a regrettable mistake, and our hearts go out to the families of the victims.
You've used the word accident, mistake. The Prime Minister used the word unintended, but that would be maybe one car being targeted. It was 3 separate attacks on 3 separate cars, which were marked as part of an aid convoy. It does, forgive me, it doesn't seem like an accident. It seems in some way that this particular convoy was being targeted by your military.
Faisal, I can't confirm the line of events as you just gave them. I can't go into that type of detail. What I can tell you is that we're up against a brutal enemy that for the last 16 years has embedded itself in and under a civilian population with the intent to get maximum civilian casualties. Hamas is acting in a way that's possibly unprecedented. We know from testimonies from Israeli hostages in Gaza that got out that they were being transported in ambulances. Hamas is using hospitals as military bases. So we're working and doing our absolute utmost to avoid civilian casualties and to go after Hamas surgically. But this is a very, very different and very challenging urban warfare scenario that we're working hard to go after the enemy and to avoid civilian casualties.
But is it credible that the IDF did not know who was in this convoy? I mean, is that your argument? I mean, they told you they had just actually delivered 100 tons of food aid just before they were attacked by your military. How can your military not have known who was in those cars?
That's why it came as a great surprise to Israel, because specifically this organization has worked tirelessly to get aid to the people. The problem is not getting aid into Gaza, it's getting it around Gaza before it's stolen by Hamas and other terror gangs. And they were doing selfless work. They worked on both sides of the conflict. They worked with Israel after the October 7th atrocities to help Israelis as well. And it's a true tragedy what happened. And we will definitely get to the bottom of it, and we will do our absolute utmost to ensure it doesn't happen again.
I mean, is your argument that there was mistaken identity, that you thought that they might be terrorists? Because it just seems quite difficult, that argument, it just seems quite difficult to make that argument when we can all see that the cars were clearly marked as an aid convoy.
Right, well, I can tell you again that Hamas has used ambulances. It's used ambulances to transfer hostages. It's used ambulances to transfer to senior Hamas terrorists.
You can't say that this is some Hamas narrative. Your military has done something appalling, which has killed aid workers who were delivering aid to people on the brink of starvation.
Well, I would reject the narrative that is a Hamas narrative, that there's imminent starvation, that there's imminent famine. And that's what's led to highlight this. This is a tragic situation, what happened this morning to those aid workers. And like I said, my heart is with their family. but it comes upon the narrative of imminent famine, which is false. There is food in Gaza. There is more than 20,000 lorry loads of food being delivered to Gaza. There's more food being delivered to Gaza now than there was before the war. We've seen busy markets, kebab stores, etc., all over southern Gaza. But the narrative is that it's imminent. There's an imminent famine and the war needs to be stopped. That is a narrative of Hamas, and that's what I'm talking about.
I understand that you will blame Hamas for it. Are you denying that there's a catastrophic humanitarian situation in the Gaza Strip? UN Security Council resolution, that?
I'm saying that there are clear indications and questions to be had on the data used to get to the point where they say that there is imminent famine. I do not believe that there is imminent famine in Gaza. I think there is plenty of food to go around. I think that Hamas has systematically stolen it time and time and again. And that adds to the tragedy of what happened today, because this is the organization that was hit was one of the organizations that was actually getting food through to the people that needed it, as opposed to those that have worked with Hamas in the past and collaborated with Hamas. And that's exactly what makes it so much more painful.
There are 3 British families tonight grieving. Does your government apologise to them for what's happened?
So, as we've said, from the minute we heard about this, it's tragic, and our heart goes out to their families. And I understand, as someone who's lost people in this conflict myself, I understand some of the pain that they're going through. I would say that as far as an official apology, I would wait for the investigation to go through, but obviously that'll be forthcoming if and when the details fully come out. I don't want to jump to anything now, but irrespective of what happened, my heart is with them, and I feel their pain.
Avi Hyman, thanks very much for joining us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Faisal.